Christmas shines brightly. The streets shimmer, the carols rise, the windows glow. And yet beneath the laughter lies a strange silence, the silence of a soul that no longer hears heaven's whisper. We hang lights, wrap gifts, and fill our homes with decorations. But somewhere in the midst of all this noise, something sacred grows faint. This is not the witchcraft of dark rituals and forbidden symbols. It is the quiet sorcery of forgetfulness, the modern spell that replaces meaning with spectacle and faith with glitter. The devil no longer hides in shadows. He hides in the brightness that blinds. He doesn't tell us to hate the light of Christ. He simply distracts us with 1,000 smaller lights until we can no longer tell the difference. The first enchantment is the glittering idol of materialism. The lights that once represented divine joy now serve as mirrors for human vanity. We string them not to remember Bethlehem's star, but to display ourselves. Each bulb is a small reflection of pride disguised as celebration. The world teaches us that to be seen is to be real, that to shine is to exist. And so we trade sacred illumination for shallow attention. We do not worship gold anymore, we worship visibility. Then comes the tree, the second charm, the tree of self. Once it symbolized life eternal, green in the heart of winter, but now it stands as a monument to ego. Every ornament reflects our image. Every gift beneath it whispers our name. We pretend to give, but we crave recognition. Even in generosity, we seek applause. And so the holy tree becomes a throne for pride. Humility, as C.S. Lewis wrote, is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Yet pride reverses that truth. It makes us believe that even our kindness must be admired. The third spell is subtler still, the candle of control. We light candles as if we can command the light itself, as if we can govern the divine. Modern faith has become a formula. Plan enough, manifest enough, and you will receive. But faith is not management. It is surrender. The moment we try to control everything, we lose the miracle. Control is the most sophisticated witchcraft. It allows us to play God while pretending to serve Him. The flame of control burns fast, and when it dies, we are left in darkness wondering why our light was never enough. And then, hanging from the tree, are the glass spheres, the ornaments of envy. They gleam beautifully, but each is a reflection, distorted and self-centered. Envy no longer needs words. It needs only images. We scroll through other people's joy, mistaking their highlight reels for the whole truth. Gratitude fades as comparison grows. We stop thanking God for what we have and start questioning why He gave others more. The magic of envy is cruel. It makes us believe happiness is a competition, and in doing so, it poisons every blessing we possess. The fifth charm is wrapped in perfection, the ribbon of illusion. It tells us happiness can be packaged, that peace can be bought, that meaning can be arranged in aesthetic symmetry. We no longer seek depth, we seek decoration. We chase what looks like joy instead of joy itself. Lewis once said, "If we find ourselves with a desire nothing in this world can satisfy, it must mean we were made for another world." But the ribbon of illusion tightens around our hearts, whispering that one more purchase, one more success, one more like will finally make us whole. The tighter we tie it, the emptier we feel. And above it all, shining proudly, is the final spell, the star of false hope. The wise men once followed a true star to Bethlehem, but today humanity follows falling stars, fame, wealth, status. They burn bright for a moment and then disappear into nothing. Aim at heaven, Lewis wrote, and you'll get earth thrown in. Aim at earth, and you'll get neither. False hope is the most dangerous witchcraft because it feels righteous. It disguises ambition as calling, greed as vision, and ego as purpose. We follow these false stars until our souls are lost in the smoke of our own pursuit. Yet even among all these illusions, one gift remains unopened. It sits quietly beneath the noise, wrapped not in paper but in patience. Inside it lies grace simple, undeserved, and free. The world is too busy to open it. It scrolls past miracles, complains of silence, and calls emptiness peace. But grace waits. It always waits. It knocks softly on the heart that has forgotten how to listen. The final witchcraft of this age is distraction, the endless hum that keeps us from stillness. For in stillness, God speaks, and when God speaks, illusions die. But when the lights fade and the crowds disperse, when the last song ends and the room grows dark, Bethlehem remains. It is not a place on the map. It is the state of a humble soul. A soul that kneels instead of performing, that listens instead of broadcasting, that gives instead of grasping. Bethlehem is reborn every time we choose simplicity over spectacle, surrender over control, humility over pride. Once in our world, said Lewis, a stable held something larger than the universe. That is the paradox of the divine. Only the humble can hold the infinite. And so, the night falls silent. One candle burns. It is not made of wax, but of faith. Its flame flickers softly, but it never dies. That is the real miracle of Christmas, not that darkness vanishes, but that light endures. Christmas is not a performance. It is a whisper. It is heaven saying again, I am still here. When we stop chasing and start listening, Christmas happens again, not in a distant desert, but in our own hearts. Not in December, but in every moment a soul remembers grace. So when the decorations come down, keep one light burning within. Let it warm your words, your actions, your silence. Let it guide you when ambition blinds and noise distracts, because every year the world will forget again. But if one soul remembers, darkness loses its dominion. For the miracle of Christmas is not that God became visible, but that humanity remembered how to see. And that is how it ends, not with trumpets or applause, but with a single heart illuminated from within, the only light no witchcraft can ever extinguish. And as the last candle flickers in the quiet house, something sacred stirs in the air, a stillness deeper than silence, a peace that feels like recognition. It is not grand or dramatic. It does not announce itself with sound or spectacle. It simply is. And in that gentle being, the soul remembers what it had forgotten, that the true miracle was never the decorations, nor the gifts, nor the gatherings, but the transformation of the human heart. For centuries, humanity has tried to decorate the outside of Christmas, but the real decoration has always been inward. The ornaments of the Spirit are kindness, gratitude, forgiveness, and humility. These are the garlands that never fade, the lights that never burn out, and when they shine within a single soul, the entire world grows brighter, because one heart lit from within is worth more than 1,000 cities illuminated from without. Perhaps that is the quiet irony of the divine, that heaven never demanded grand altars or golden crowns. It only asked for space in a human heart. Yet how often we fill that space with noise, ambition, and fear, building temples of distraction while leaving the manger of our spirit empty. The witchcraft of this age is not dark magic. It is overactivity, over-anxiety, the endless insistence that we must do more to be enough. But grace whispers the opposite. Be still. Be still, and let the light return. Be still, and let heaven rearrange the furniture of your soul. Be still, and realize that peace is not found, it is allowed. That faith is not achieved, it is accepted. That love is not earned, it is remembered. And in that remembrance, Christmas happens again not on the calendar, but in eternity's language, the language of awe. You begin to see that every simple act of kindness is a Bethlehem reborn. Every time you forgive, a manger opens. Every word of truth you speak becomes a star guiding someone home. The world will always prefer the noisy, the visible, the profitable. It will celebrate what glitters and overlook what glows. But you, if you have learned the art of seeing, will notice the divine in the smallest corners, in the worn hands that wrap gifts not out of duty, but love, in the child's laughter that carries the echo of joy unspoiled, in the quiet prayer whispered by someone who has lost much but still believes. That is where Christmas hides when the world forgets. And perhaps that is the meaning behind the title of this reflection. The witchcraft that enters Christian homes is not in symbols or decorations, it is in the heart's surrender to illusion. It is in believing that joy can be bought, that success is salvation, that noise can replace presence. But the cure is simple, and it has been the same since Bethlehem. Return. Return to humility. Return to stillness. Return to the kind of light that cannot be sold or staged. Because when a soul returns to truth, all the false enchantments lose their power. The lights may fade, the trees may come down, but something eternal stays lit inside. You will walk through an ordinary world with extraordinary eyes, seeing grace where others see coincidence, seeing purpose where others see chaos. And when the night grows long again, as it always does, that inner light will not fail you. It will guide you through seasons of doubt, through the chill of loneliness, through the wilderness of ambition. It will remind you again and again that the story did not end in Bethlehem. It began there. It began with a promise that light and darkness would never share the same throne. So as this night closes, remember, you are the house that holds the holy. You are the candle that never goes out. And as long as your heart remains humble, no witchcraft of this world can cross your door. Christmas is not an event to be remembered. It is a state of being to be lived. And when you live it quietly, kindly, faithfully, the whole world becomes a Bethlehem once more. And when you live it, when you choose to carry that Bethlehem within you, the ordinary becomes sacred again. A cup of coffee becomes communion. A conversation becomes prayer. A single act of forgiveness becomes an altar where heaven bends close to earth. You begin to see that holiness was never locked inside cathedrals. It was always waiting in the gestures of daily life. That is what the modern world has forgotten. It has turned faith into a brand, goodness into performance, and celebration into commerce. But grace refuses to be marketed. Grace hides in the quiet, in the inconvenient, in the places where attention does not reach. It does not need to prove itself, because truth never competes, it simply remains. When you learn to see like that, you are no longer fooled by the spells of the age. The glow of wealth loses its charm. The lure of admiration loses its pull. You understand that abundance without love is only noise, that success without humility is only theater, and that power without mercy is only darkness dressed in light. The real miracle, the real freedom, is to walk through a glittering world untouched by its enchantments, to see the gold and not crave it, to see the stage and not need to stand upon it. And that is when the heart becomes powerful, not because it dominates, but because it cannot be dominated. A soul that no longer bows to the idols of the age cannot be bought, cannot be shamed, cannot be controlled. It becomes dangerous in the holiest way, a light that reveals false lights for what they are. That is the kind of strength the world needs now. And it begins with a single person remembering that Christmas was never about perfection, but about presence. Every time you choose compassion over cynicism, you build another manger. Every time you forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, you place another star in the night sky. Every time you tell the truth when it costs you something, you keep the Bethlehem flame alive. The world will never know it happened, but heaven will. And perhaps that is enough. That the quiet things, the unseen things, are the ones that hold the universe together. So do not let this season end with decorations stored away and hearts unchanged. Let it end with clarity, with the courage to live simply, to love honestly, to believe humbly. Let the lesson of this night follow you into every morning, that no darkness is stronger than the light you carry, because the Christmas story was never just a story, it was a revelation about the human heart. It showed us that greatness is born in humility, that power is revealed through gentleness, that divinity enters the world through the door of surrender. And if you can live that truth, even in the smallest way, you will see that Christmas never ends. It continues in every kind word, in every silent act of grace, in every choice to love where hate would have been easier. When all the lights outside finally fade, the true ones remain the lights inside, hearts that remember. That is where heaven hides now, not in the sky, but in the steady glow of those who still believe. And as the final words of this night settle like snow, may your soul rest in that light, steady, eternal, and unshakable. May it remind you that even in the darkest hour, Bethlehem still burns quietly within you, and its glow is enough to lead the world home. And when the years pass and the seasons change, when the lights of 1,000 Christmases have come and gone, what will remain is not the memory of the gifts, nor the sound of carols, nor the glitter of tinsel, but the quiet strength of the heart that refused to forget what the day truly meant. For the spirit of Christmas is not bound by time. It is an eternal rhythm, pulsing through all things that are pure, humble, and kind. You begin to see how the story repeats itself in every generation. Each century builds its own idols and calls them progress. Each generation crafts its own spells and names them logic. But the same light returns again and again, reminding us that wisdom does not evolve, it is rediscovered. The child in the manger is reborn every time a soul chooses love over fear, truth over comfort, and grace over judgment. And perhaps that is why the world needs Christmas, not for nostalgia, but for correction. It calls us back from the illusion that we are gods, back to the realization that we are loved. It whispers through the noise of ambition. You are not here to conquer, but to care. You are not here to own, but to offer. And the moment you understand this, every day becomes holy ground. So let the world chase its glittering idols. Let it sell its dreams, wrapped in ribbon and illusion. You keep your soul unwrapped. Keep your heart uncovered, honest before God, and the witchcraft of this age will never touch you. Live in such a way that even your silence preaches truth. Let your kindness be louder than your opinions. Let your faith be seen not in your rituals, but in your mercy. Because Christmas was never meant to end at midnight on December 25th. It was meant to begin there, to send us out as living candles into a dark world. Not perfect candles, but willing ones. Not bright with our own brilliance, but steady with the borrowed light of heaven. And one day, when history folds in on itself, and the stars fade, and the final winter gives way to dawn, it will be that same light, the one born in Bethlehem, kept alive in quiet hearts, that will guide creation home. The witchcraft of this world will vanish like smoke, but that light will remain. So carry it carefully, protect it in the winds of doubt, feed it with compassion, and when others lose their way, let them see it flicker in you, not as pride, but as proof that love endures. That is the true ending of this story. Not a conclusion, but a continuation. The eternal flame passed from one awakened soul to another. For as long as that flame burns, Christmas lives. And as long as Christmas lives, darkness dies.